Hi, welcome to SFO Museum. We're in the design lab here, and I'm going to be telling you about this DC-8 model in our collection. It was made probably in the 1950s and seems to have been used at a World's Fair where it served as a promotional piece for United Airlines. It's the largest model in our collection, and as you can see, it comes in 3 large sections. I'm going to be talking about some of the conservation work I've done on it and how it's changed since it's come into our collection. When the plane first came in, we had a lot of surface dirt, so the whole thing has been completely cleaned. But then there were also a lot of areas that had missing or detached components. And this area here has a couple of things going on. One is this entire area of seating was completely missing. No chairs remained, no figures, nothing from that area. Additionally, the girl in the middle of this row here was missing both her left arm and her pad of paper. And then the gentleman in the row behind were missing a combination of several feet and hands. And these were all issues I corrected by making plaster casts of other figures on the plane and using those to create replacements for the missing components. One of the kind of fun things about this plane is that figures were used several times throughout the passengers on the plane. So when a figure was missing a component like a hand or a foot, I could often find its clone elsewhere on the aircraft and use that figure to make the model, which I could then take the casting from. You can actually see this here in this seating area. The man in the window in the back row is actually the same figure as the man on the aisle seat in the row in front of him. They're just painted differently. And I use this process to make a replacement row of seats, to make the missing elements from the girl and then also the missing hands and feet from the men in the seating area behind her. Another figure I worked on is the woman sitting in the window seat here behind this seam joint between the front and the middle sections. Interestingly, a lot of the figures at these seam joints tended to be the ones with the most significant conservation problems, and that's probably just because of the stress of assembling and disassembling the aircraft, but then also because those edges were the most vulnerable while the piece is disassembled. So while it was crated or transported, those are the areas that were probably most likely to get bumped or knocked around. This figure was missing the lower part of her left leg. And like I did with the other figures, I was able to find another figure who was the same model as this one, just painted differently. And I was able to use that to create a casting of the missing leg, which I then reattached and painted with acrylics to match the rest of the body. Another thing I worked on with this piece was a lot of surface cleaning. The piece came to the museum in some crates where it had clearly been stored for a really extended period of time. So there was a lot of surface dirt and grime really over all components of the models. The tail sections were particularly dirty because they were stored in a crate that seemed to have had a rodent infestation. And so there were traces of rodent excrement and urine on the pieces from the tail section. And that was something I cleaned off and removed.